The country looks ahead to the 2008 Summer Olympic Games, but today it focuses on a winter sport. The World Cup speed skating season began in China, and it will wrap up here with the World Short Track Championships. The home country is strong with skaters like Yang A and Meng Wang, the World Cup overall title holder. The Korean factor is huge as always, and do not count out Canada. Hi everybody, Scott Oak along with double Olympic gold medalist Katrina Lemay-Doan. And Katrina, we come to the final speed skating event of the season, the World Short Track Championships in Beijing. The Koreans are the skaters to beat. It's been that way for years now. Put their power into perspective for us.
Well, they have such depth both on the women's side and on the men's side. They hold numerous world championship titles. They hold various world records. And regardless of their age, some of them are only 16 years of age, they are the strength in the world.
Last we saw the Koreans, or I suppose more accurately put, did not see them, was they skipped the World Cup stops in Madison and Chicoutimi, the ones in North America this year, because of a scandal that engulfed the team. Some of their coaches were accused of beating some of the younger female skaters because of poor results. What was the end result?
Well, they have had a coaching change, and that has allowed the skaters just to focus on their skating. And it hasn't seemed to affect them, as they are still the ones to beat.
All right, the prospects of the Canadians now. The women are struggling with a lot of injuries, but the men are led by Matthew Turcotte, who's enjoyed his finest World Cup season ever. What's gone right for the men heading into these World Championships?
Well, they had a really good summer and fall of training. They had more volume than ever, and it seems to be paying off. Matthew Turcotte, he's #1 in the 500 meter. Charles Hamlin had a breakthrough this season, and also François-Louis Tremblay. He's been in a bit of a slump since the Olympics in Salt Lake, but the final 2 World Cups, he's posted some great results.
For years now, the men have excelled at the relay. What's at stake for them in these World Championships?
Well, they have 2 gold medals from the previous 2 Olympics, but they haven't won a World Championship title since 1998.
The relay is often the most exciting part of short track speed skating, but let's begin our coverage from Beijing with the women's 1,000 meter semifinals. Thousand meters, 9 laps of the track. Amanda Overland, living in Montreal now, will have the inside start. She's in lane 1, won silver over this distance at the World Cup stop in Madison in November. Next to Overland, the great Chinese veteran Yang A, many times the overall world champion. A 16-year-old Sun Yu-jin of Korea looks like she's short track's next great one. And she won the last World Cup 1000 in Slovakia last month. And in lane 4, Korea's Yoon Kung Choi. She's only 20, but already has had 5 great years of international skating. She's the defending world champion over this distance. Again, 9 laps of the track. The top 2 advance to the final. Often this start takes on the appearance of a leisurely skate, but not here, Katrina.
No, they're off to a good start. Again, it's only 9 laps. The top 2 advance to the final, and so there's going to be a lot of pushing amongst the skaters trying to get their positions. But Amanda Overland, who's sitting at the back of the pack right now, is not the place you want to be. She can watch what the other skaters are doing, but to set herself up to make the final, she needs to move ahead.
Sun Yu-jin, wearing helmet number 448, goes to the lead. This is her first full season of World Cup skating for Korea. She won her first 3 individual medals, a couple of bronze and a silver at the second World Cup stop in China in October, and then started piling up the medals after that. Her progress was interrupted, though, by the scandal that saw the Korean team skip the 2 North American World Cup stops.
Well, a good pace set in this semifinal by the Koreans and by Yang A. Her experience is being shown here, a little bit of pushing with the Korean skaters, and Amanda Overland taking advantage of that, and Yang A goes down. All 3 skaters go down.
3 laps to go. Yang A tried to settle into second place, and she fell and took Overland and Choi with her. So Sun Yu-jin, the Korean, left to skate on her own now, and now Overland and Choi back up, realizing there's still a spot in the final to be decided. There goes the bell. Final lap. Sun Yu-jin of Korea can now leisurely skate to the finish line, knowing she's got a berth in the final, and Overland and Choi will try to sort out the other berth.
Well, this is short track speed skating. There are judges on the ice, a final fight to the finish, but the judges will then decide. They will look at the race and they will say whose fault was it that somebody fell down, and impeding another skater is illegal, and once they decide whose fault it is, that skater will be disqualified.
So Sun Yujin crossed first, then Choi and Overland. Overland crossed third, but we await that ruling on Yang Yang A, who caused the spill with 3 laps to go.
Well, Amanda Overland, who'd been skating very well this year, had a breakthrough season, had 2 career individual World Cup medals, but she was out of this first pushing match between Korean skater and Yang Yang A. And this is short track. You make your move when you can, but you cannot touch the other skater or push another skater. Amanda Overland tried to make an inside pass. Yang Yang A went down and impeded with the other skaters. And so we await what the judges say about who will be disqualified.
And there is the official order of finish. The Koreans first and second. Yang Yang A has been disqualified. That means Amanda Overland has a spot in the final, the judgment being that she was impeded by the Chinese skater. Second semifinal now to complete the field for the 1,000 meters. There's Jenny Radinova of Bulgaria, Europe's dominant short track skater. Tianyu Fu, another Chinese veteran, won bronze over this distance at last year's Worlds in Sweden. China's Meng Wang is next to Fu in lane 3, currently the world's dominant 500-meter skater. And Yeon-mi Kang of Korea, only 17 years old, will have the outside start. She's in the same mold as her teammate Sun Yujin, who just won her semifinal, young, but already many times a World Cup medalist.
She's also the junior world champion from 2004, and so there's a lot of depth in this semifinal. It will be very tough, from 27 years of age of Radinova to 17 years of age by Kang. They've seen the pace that the previous semifinal skated, but the time is not important. Again, the top 2 from this semifinal will advance to the final.
Jenny Radinova takes the early lead. Most of her success has come at the European level. She's won 6 straight European championships and has never lost this distance in the Europeans. And now wearing the red helmet, Meng Wang goes to the front.
Well, Kang may be showing a little bit of inexperience, trying a lot of outside passes and battling with the skaters. One of the Chinese skaters goes down after being pushed by the Korean.
That's Tianyu Fu, who is out of the race, and Meng Wang continues to lead. She's had great success this season, over 500 meters, but she did open the World Cup season with a silver over this distance in China in October. So Meng Wang still in front, followed by Jenny Radinova. And the Korean skater Yeon-mi Kang, an aggressive display here as she tries to get the lead from Meng Wang, but Wang is not giving way. There might have been some contact there.
Well, I think there was contact. Again, I go to the inexperience, her young age. She's just seeing any opening and going for it. And you have to look for that opening, but you have to realize that if a skater keeps their track, keeps the pattern that they've been skating, and you bump them, you are at fault.
So coming up to the bell lap now, Meng Wang with the lead. It's going to be awfully tough to catch her, although the young Korean Yeon-mi Kang is giving it her all, and Jenny Radinova is third. If you've got the lead in the final turn, you're all but assured of victory, and Meng Wang takes the victory here in this semifinal.
Well, Meng Wang stayed out of trouble. Radinova, who had missed the early part of the season because she was in Athens for cycling, might be lacking a little bit of strength and endurance from the lack of training. But Kang really was involved in a lot of pushing with the Chinese skaters, and Tianyu Fu ended up battling with her and falling down, and now we'll have to wait and see what the judges say.
Well, it was close between Radinova and Kang of Korea for second. The Korean gets it to go through to the final. Radinova is third and Tianyu Fu is disqualified. When we come back, the men's 1,500 meters semifinals. We continue with our coverage of the World Short Track Speed Skating Championships. Now the the second of 3 semifinals in the 1500 meters. No question who the favorite here is. It's the Korean star Hin Soo Ahn who will be in lane number 2. And there's the Canadian entry here, Francois Louis Tremblay of Boucherville, Quebec. Katrina, fair to say it's the rest of the field against Hin Soo Ahn in the semifinal?
Ahn would be the favorite. He's the world record holder. He's last year's world champion. He's only 19 years of age, but Francois-Louis Tremblay has been skating well over the last month. He would love to prove himself at these world championships, give himself confidence going into next year's Olympic year.
13.5 laps of the track, and on lap 12 now, Francois-Louis Tremblay goes to the lead, but going leisurely past him is Sebastian Preuss of Germany. Ahn in 4 1,500-meter World Cup races this season, was first twice, second once, and was disqualified in the other. Ahn has been the one to beat for 3 years now. Seems the only one who can get the better of him is American Apollo Anton Ono. And that matchup will not occur in the 1,500-meter final, as Ono was disqualified earlier in his semifinal. There's Harold Silvos of Latvia taking the lead now, and Francois-Louis Tremblay staying with him.
Well, not a lot of Latvian skaters are strong in short track, not even in long track, but it's nice to see all the countries represented. Speed skating becoming a very popular sport across most of the world, but as the pace increases now, 7 laps to go, Francois-Louis Tremblay out near the front, out of trouble. That's where you want to be in the 1,500 meter.
And at the front now is Hin Soo Ahn of Korea. As I said a moment ago, 1,500, 13.5 laps of the track, but it has not taken that long to determine that Hin Soo Ahn of Korea and Francois-Louis Tremblay of Canada are the class of this field.
The skaters have been very happy with the ice. The ice has been fast here in Beijing, and every time that they have a semifinal or a final, if it is fast from the start, they're looking towards world records. Again, not on a world record pace here, but the top 2, the Chinese skater Baku Sui just went down, but the top 2 skaters will advance to the final.
It remains Hin Soo Ahn of Korea in the lead. Francois-Louis Tremblay still with him, so they're the 2 now who look to have the spots in the final all but wrapped up on the bell lap now. Great things expected of Tremblay when he won the World Junior Championship in '98, and he's had a fine career. He crosses second behind Hin Soo Ahn, and those 2 are through to the 1,500-meter final.
It was a nice, relaxing semifinal for those skaters. You have to remember that they do many rounds of each race, and so you want to conserve energy anywhere you can. And for Francois-Louis Tremblay to be able to go through a semifinal and not really have to fight to waste a lot of energy was great for him. There were many skaters together, but as the pace started increasing, it really distanced everybody out. Chinese skater went down, and that's where Ahn and Tremblay really made their move and broke away from the pack.
7 laps to go in the race, and Ahn made his move and led the rest of the way, and as a result of that contact, Baku Sui going down. Sebastian Preuss of Germany has been disqualified. The standings have him 3rd, but he has been DQ'd, and it's Hin Soo Ahn and Francois-Louis Tremblay who go through to the final. Well, there's a Canadian in this semifinal. It's Charles Hamlin. Ukraine's Vladimir Grigoriev is in lane 1. His record suggests making the final could be tough. Sung Hoon Lee of Korea, another of the young Korean class of short track skaters, only 17. In lane 3, it's Satoru Terao of Japan, a long-standing World Cup skater, finished 2nd overall at the '99 World Championships. Next to Terao is Fabio Carta of Italy, 3rd overall at the 2002 World Championships. And then it's Charles Hamlin of Canada, 2 years out of junior and a rising star on the international short track scene. Yi Li of China rounds out the field. He was 4th overall at last year's World Championships in Sweden.
Well, a range in ages from 29 years of age, Terao, to 17 years of age from the young Korean Sung Hoon Lee.
At the start of the 1500, Katrina, is there an advantage to being on the inside or perhaps the outside?
I don't think it matters for the 1500 meters. Usually for the 500 you want to be in the middle, but because of the slow pace of the 1500, whether you're on the outside or the inside, it doesn't matter. Fabio Carta from Italy decides to take the lead, and we've seen a lot of great skating from the long track skaters out of Italy, but the short track skaters really, they were good a few years ago, but they haven't shown a lot of depth over the last couple of years.
Well, the pace slow right now, but bound to pick up. Wearing helmet number 510 is Charles Hamlin, right behind Fabio Carta. Hamlin, 20 years old, won his first World Cup individual medals in Madison, Wisconsin in November, and since then he's won medals at every World Cup stop. Turned a few heads when he won the 500 in Slovakia last month and the 1000 the week before that in Hungary. He's one of the world's top-ranked skaters. It's hard not to see him as a medal favorite in Turin.
Well, Hamlin started off the season with a lot of people saying he's very fit, he's very strong, but what he lacked was the experience in racing. Well, he's got that this year, and he's proven that he can handle it with the success that he's had, and he's a smart skater. He saw an opening there, and he took the pass, and now is leading with just 7 laps to go.
Charles Hamlin takes the lead. The Chinese skaters right behind him. That's Ye Li, and then the Korean Sung-Hoon Lee, but great skating by Charles Hamlin to hold off the Chinese skater Yi Li, and so Hamlin now nicely placed at the front of the pack with 5 laps remaining.
The Korean skater making an outside pass, very tough thing to do because you are skating extra distance. It's already an 111-meter oval, and to make an outside pass, you're just putting more strain on your body, more fatigue through the semifinal.
Hamlin had the answer then for Sung-Hoon Lee of Korea when he attempted the outside pass. Now 3 laps to go, and Charles Hamlin looking poised and confident like he's been skating at this level for years when it's really only been 2 years. Last year he was ranked 65th over this distance. This year he's in the top 5. So how's that for progress? And Charles Hamlin now with the bell gone in the lead. Oh, and a stumble there by the Japanese skater as he tried the inside pass on the Korean, but Hamlin is first to the line. Charles Hamlin just ahead of Sung-Hoon Lee of Korea to get first. Lee gets the other berth in the final, as he is a very close second, but nice skating by Charles Hamlin of Canada to ensure he moves on to the 1500-meter final.
It was a smart race for Hamlin. The race started out very slowly, a leisurely pace. Everybody just looking around to see who's going to make a move, and Hamlin took the lead when he saw an opening, and he stayed out of trouble. He increased the pace when he needed to. He held off the young Korean Lee, and he just stayed out of trouble, and he advances to the final.
So Charles Hamlin and Sung-Hoon Lee advance to complete the field for the 1500 meters. The 1000 meters is our next distance. The women will sort out the World Championship when we come back.
Back live at Mont Gabriel, Quebec.
Short track event of the season is the World Championship in Beijing. Nicely underway with the 1,000-meter final up next. Three Koreans in this final, 2 of them not old enough for their driver's license by North American standards. 17-year-old Jung-Mi Kang in lane number 1. And there's Amanda Overland, living in Montreal now, next to Kang. Overland advanced on the disqualification of Yang Yang A in her semifinal. The defending world champion, Yoon Kung Choi, is in lane number 3. Took care of business by finishing second in her semifinal. Look for a better effort here. Meng Wang of China won her semifinal to get here. She'll start in lane number 4. She's wearing the red helmet as the points leader in this World Championship. And the 16-year-old Korean, Sun Yu-jin, completes the field for the 1,000. Jin was a decisive winner of her semifinal. So this now, the skate for the medals and the World Championship. 9 laps of the track. Katrina, as we pointed out, no team skating permitted in short track individual races, but with 3 Koreans in the final, how can there not be some elements of cooperation at play here?
The advantage of having 3 of the same country in a finals, that you know how your teammates skate. They'll have talked beforehand about what the strategy will be. One of them will want to take the lead and they'll try to hold off another person. Again, it's not officially allowed, but when you skate together so often, you understand each other. And this is a very active final with one of the Koreans going down already.
That's Kang. She is out of it now early in the race, and the other 2 Koreans, Sun Yu-jin wearing helmet number 448 and Choi wearing number 446 take over, and they're 1-2 right now.
Well, Amanda Overland had a little bit of a gap. She had to fight to make up, to catch the rest of the pack, and that takes a lot of energy. Sitting in 4th place, she now has to relax and look for an opening. This is a really strategic race, especially near the end of it. She has to be tough and be aware of what's going on around her.
Choi leading. Jin is with her. The question for Canada is, can Amanda Overland get in for a medal? Appears to be between her and Meng Wang of China for the bronze right now. The bell is gone. The 2 Koreans still in front. They're nicely placed here, although Kang is out of it, so a sweep is not possible. And at the line, it is Choi first. Jin is second. Wang takes 3rd, just edging out Amanda Overland. So gold and silver to Yoon-kang Choi and Sun Yu-jin of Korea respectively, and Meng Wang takes the bronze. Amanda Overland settles for 4th.
Well, it was a very tough final. Amanda Overland knew that any one of the skaters going into that final could be on top of the podium, but she fought well. She just wasn't able to get past the strength of the Koreans and also of Meng Wang. There was a lot of pushing and shoving. Yoon-mi Kang ends up getting bumped a little bit, and she goes down, and Amanda Overland gets caught up with Kang, ends up having some space to make up to the rest of the pack.
Overland had to sidestep the Korean there, and the official order of finish. The Korean skaters then with gold and silver. Meng Wang takes the bronze ahead of Overland. Field of 7 skaters now to contest the 1,500-meter final. Francois-Louis Tremblay of Boucherville, Quebec will start on the inside in lane 1. Won a medal over this distance in the last World Cup of the season last month in Slovakia. Charles Hamlin of Saint-Julie, Quebec next to Tremblay. 3 Koreans in this final. 17-year-old Sung-hoon Lee is in lane 3 to start. Montreal's Matthew Turcotte has had a fine season. Did a quick count earlier, and Turcotte coming into these championships had won about a dozen medals on the World Cup circuit this season. 29-year-old Zhao Jun Lee of China in lane 5. Lee opened the season by winning bronze over 1,500 meters in the first 2 World Cup stops in China. Korea's Kyung Tak Song is next to Lee. We saw him in the first 2 World Cup stops of the season, but not after that. Certainly skates in the shadow of the great Hin Soo-on. And it is Hin Soo-on rounding out the field. He'll have the second row start because there are so many skaters in this field. On 19 years old, is the reigning world champion, having won the 1,500 in Sweden last year.
There are 7 skaters in this final because Matthew Turcotte was advanced after he was impeded upon by Apollo Anton Ono. Ono was then disqualified, and so Turcotte was advanced, but it makes it tough when there are this many men out on this small ice surface.
And Apollo Anton Ono DQ'd, as you say, Katrina, with him not in the final. The complexion of this race changes, does it not?
Well, there's still a lot of depth between Tremblay, Hamlin, Turcotte, Jajun Lee, Hin Soo-on. It is anybody's race, and they'll take the first few laps just to play games. Somebody will take the lead, and you want to conserve a little bit of energy, so you don't want to lead the entire time. But again, being out in front, you're away from a lot of the trouble.
Sung-hoon Lee of Korea had the lead until Zhao Jun Lee of China just made his move to go to the front, but the Canadians are right there. That's Francois-Louis Tremblay in 3rd place right now, 9 laps to go.
Jajun Lee taking the lead, the crowd cheering him on. Being at home can add a little bit of pressure, but the Koreans always a strength, and pushing Jajun Lee, he falls away from the front, away from the pack entirely.
7 laps to go. Sung-Hoon Lee of Korea leads, followed by his teammate Hin Soo-on. And then it's Turcotte, Tremblay, and Hamlin for Canada in that order. So right now it's all Korea and Canada in this 1500-meter final. There's a move by Matthew Turcotte to drop into second place, and his teammates Francois Louis Tremblay and Charles Hamlin stay with him, and there's a spill. A nasty one at that. 4 laps to go. Turcotte goes down, takes Charles Hamlin with him. So Francois Louis Tremblay now left to skate on his own against the 3 Koreans.
Well, that's how things change in short track. 2 Canadians down, and now the Korean well out in front. Francois Louis Tremblay now has to fight off the other Korean skaters and fight for a podium finish.
It's Hin Soo-on who has the decided lead now, and he'll win this easily. Kyung Tak Song holding off Francois Louis Tremblay. There's a leisurely finish by Hin Soo-on in the 1500 meters. Song crosses second, and Tremblay is third, if that's the way it finishes.
Well, On took advantage of that spill. He took off from the rest of the pack, and Tremblay could just not catch up with them. But very tough race. There was a lot of depth going into that race, and people had to make a move. And when Matthew Turcotte decided to make a move, he slipped, took his teammate down with him.
So Hin Soo-on is the gold medalist, and let's see if we can pick out the contact and take a stab at what the judge's decision might be here.
Well, the Korean skater Song did an inside pass. You're not allowed to touch the other skater, but it looked like he bumped the Chinese skater Jia-Jun Lee. Matthew Turcotte, his skates just looked like they slipped out from underneath him. Unfortunately for Matthew, took his teammate down with him.
Well, Song crossed second. We await the ruling on the contact he had with Jia-Jun Lee, and it's in now, and Song has been disqualified, and Francois Louis Tremblay of Canada moves up to the silver medal. Speed skating championships. The field for the women's 500 meters is set. 5 skaters to contest the medals here. Yang Yang of China, wearing helmet number 410, is in lane 1 with the inside start. Yang is trying to regain the world championship. She last held over this distance in 2003. Jenny Radinova of Bulgaria, the world record holder, is in lane number 2. Meng Wang, wearing helmet number 411, the reigning world champion, is in lane 3. Tianyu Fu of China is next to Wang. Fu wearing helmet 412. The power of the Chinese in this final is striking. Fu had 2 wins and 1 second in 500-meter World Cup races this season. And Yoon Kung Choi of Korea will be in lane 5 on the outside to start the 500 final. Both Choi and Radinova could be in tough to break the Chinese dominance here. 3 Chinese skaters in this final, so they're guaranteed at least 1 medal before they even get to the finish.
Well, there are 5 skaters because Fu was advanced after the disqualification of Sung Yu Jin. She impeded on Fu, and so now she is advanced as well. And this leads to, as you said, Scott, 3 Chinese in the final.
Yang Yang, the gold medalist over this distance in the Salt Lake City Olympics, and she goes quickly to the front, followed by Wang and Fu, her teammate. So has the pattern been established on the first lap?
Well, Yang Yang A looked very strong in the semifinal. She got off to a great start in this final. Her teammate's right behind her. She just looks like she has a lot of zip, and she's skating very well. She looks very comfortable here on a home track in Beijing.
Choi of Korea, Radinova of Bulgaria, hard-pressed against the 3 Chinese skaters here. Yang continues to lead. Chinese 1, 2, 3, Yang, Wang, and Fu, and it looks like that's the way they'll finish, and yes, it is. Yang Yang A wins the World Championship. Meng Wang is second, Tianyu Fu is third. It's a Chinese sweep.
Well, right from the start, Yang Yang A showed her dominance. She fought all the way through that first corner, stayed at the front, she kept the lead, and her teammates fought with Radinova and with Choi behind them. And Choi was trying to make an outside pass throughout the race. Very tough thing to do, but she could just not overcome the strength of the Chinese women.
Well, the Chinese positioned for a sweep of the 500 medals almost from the start. Yang A has regained the 500-meter world championship that she gave up last year to her teammate Meng Wang. Meng Wang is second on this day. So understandably, here in Beijing, a huge celebration as the home country sweeps the medals in the women's 500-meter final. Yang A the gold, Meng Wang the silver, and Tianyu Fu the bronze.
Well, the Chinese showed their dominance, and what a confidence builder for them. The last competition of the season.
West wearing helmet 577 in lane 4, and Hin Soo-on of Korea wearing the red helmet as the leader in the battle for the overall title at these World Championships on the outside. 4.5 laps. The start critically important, so we'll pay particular attention to the starts of Tremblay and Hamlin.
Tremblay and Hamlin having the preferred place on the line. You don't want to be on the very inside, but also you don't want to be on the very outside. Off to a good start, but Nishitani, who had a great start in his semi, takes the early lead in this 500-meter final.
Tremblay already has silver from the 1,500 meters. He's bidding for his second individual medal of these World Championships. Korea's Hin Soo-on seeking a second straight gold after he won the 1,500 meters. And now the Canadians move into first and second. It's Francois-Louis Tremblay, followed by Charles Hamlin, and the bell has gone. As we said before, if you have the lead coming off the final turn, the win is almost assuredly yours, and it goes to Francois-Louis Tremblay. He takes the gold medal, and Charles Hamlin right behind him for the silver. Great skating by the Canadians.
Well, Tremblay had a beautiful inside pass over the Japanese skater, and then his teammate Charles Hamlin saw an opening, and they both took it, and they reward themselves with a gold and a silver in this 500-meter final. It was very close at the finish.
Tremblay takes the gold, his first ever world championship. Hamlin takes silver, and Hin Soo-on is third. Great finish by Canada in this 500-meter final. And did you think that possible when Matthew Turcotte fell in his semifinal and didn't make this final? So the men's 500 similar to the women's in that it was dominated by a certain country. In fact, the Chinese swept the medals in the women's 500 meters. When we come back, the excitement of the relays at the World. Japan, China, Canada, and Korea comprise the field for the final. No team skating in short track until you get to the relays, where it is a must. Chantal Sevigny, Kalina Robert, Jelena Krause, and Tanya Visson for Canada. The relay has been a strong suit for Canada's female short track skaters this year. There have not been a lot of individual medals, but 5 in the relay. Kalina Robert will open the relay for Canada. Katrina, to the uninitiated, short track relay might look like mass confusion, but it's far from it. It's highly organized.
It is very organized. There's 16 women on the ice, but everybody has a role there, and a little bit of a stumble on the first exchange of the Canadians. Off of the start, the skaters go about a lap to a lap and a half, and they exchange with their teammate. The important thing is that you have good exchanges. You finish exchanging, you rest on the middle, but you always have a duty. You have to watch your teammate. If somebody does fall down, you can tag them and continue on in the race.
Well, the Chinese have the lead right now, but how about that misfortune for Canada on the opening lap, the very first exchange, and they've fallen about 25 meters back. It's early in the race. There's plenty of time to make up the distance, but that's not the way you want to start the relay. And I suppose it underlines the importance of the exchange, the push-off. Push-off is probably the most critical part of the relay.
Well, it is, and when you have a pack like the top 3 women here at the front, and everybody's exchanging at the same place. What happens is the team in the lead goes to the outside so that you don't impede each other. Everybody knows the rules, but again, the exchanges are so important. Canada, having messed up their first exchange, they have a lot of room to make up. They're starting to do that here with this strong Canadian women's team.
That's Tianyu Fu leading right now for the Chinese. And Kang of Korea right behind her. And the Canadians trying to work their way back into contention, and it looks like they've done it.
The Canadian women have not won a relay gold in the World Championship since 1997. Oh, and a little bit of pushing amongst the Korean and the Chinese, and that was Yang A from the Chinese team who went down again. You can tag your teammate, but a lot of room lost by the Chinese skater, and the Canadians made up the ground, and now they're in front with the Koreans.
And look at that development. The Canadians went to the front momentarily. Now the Koreans have taken the lead, but what a disastrous turn of events for the Chinese, who were leading. 16 laps remaining at that point when Choi of Korea and Yang A of China made contact, and Yang went down in ungraceful fashion. Now the Koreans widening their lead over the Canadians, and it's not clear if the Chinese are going to be able to get back into this race.
We talk about the importance of the exchanges and how in short track speed skating they can change at any moment. It's important to keep fighting to get the exchanges right, even if there's a fall, to get the tag and to continue on. You never know what will happen until the race is over.
Chinese working hard to get back into contention. 9 laps to go. The Koreans have lapped the Japanese skaters, so Korea nicely in front, but you wonder now if there'll be a judge's ruling at the end of this relay. Remember, that contact between Choi of Korea and Yang A of China completely changed the complexion of the relay. There are the Chinese again on the exchange, looking good, but perhaps too far back to get back into it. Koreans still leading. Canada in second place, but almost out of sight.
Well, the Canadians knew that the tough teams in this final would be the Koreans and the Chinese. The Chinese skating at home, wishing to really perform in front of a hometown crowd to finish off these World Championships with a victory in the relay. But right now, it is Korea that is well out in front.
There's the exchange now for Canada. That's Kalina Roberge with 3 laps to go, and the gun has gone. That means only 1 more exchange allowed in the relay. It's almost certain that Korea, barring a disaster here, will cross the line first, but the question will be, will that result stand? The judges may have something to say about it. 2 laps remaining. Korea in front. Now the bell goes. We're down to the final lap. So to bring it home for Canada, it's Tanya Vincent wearing helmet number 409. Korea crosses the line first. The Canadians will be second, and the Chinese will cross third. Will the result stand, though? Will the powerful Korean team be disqualified for that contact we saw earlier? If there is a disqualification, Canada could move up to gold.
Well, all the Canadians can do now is just wait and see. Tanya Vincent, the final skater, making up the team with Sevigny, Kraus, and Roberge, and now all they can do is wait and see what the referees have to say about the exchange. A clean start on this relay. The Canadians struggled on their first exchange, and the Japanese seem to be struggling also. Not a lot of depth on the Japanese women's team, but there was trouble when the Koreans exchanged, and they were banging into the Chinese skaters. Yang A, the powerhouse of the Chinese team, pushing with the Korean skater, ended up going down, and that's when the Koreans took the lead.
Yang A looked like she might have stepped right in front of Yoon Kang Choi of Korea, but whatever, contact there appeared unavoidable. And Yang A, as I said earlier, down in very inglorious fashion. So that put the Chinese out of contention. There's one more look at it. This, I imagine, has touched off a vigorous discussion amongst the judges.
Well, they will be discussing it. The coaches will be in there fighting for their athletes, but they're reviewing, and a lot of discussion going on between the judges, the referees, and the fans wanting the Chinese to be on the podium, they will be voting for the Koreans to be disqualified.
Right now it stands Korea first, Canada second, China third, but this is pending the decision by the judges. Again, one more look at it. This is what they're talking about. Contact between Yang Yang-ae and Yoon Kang-choi of Korea. And now the decision is in. This is the official order of finish. 2 disqualifications. Canada first, China second, with gold and silver respectively. No times given Japan or Korea because of DQs. 5,000-meter relay for the men is next on the agenda at the World Championships. The U.S. led by Shawnee Davis and Apollo Anton Ono. They'll have lane number 1. Then it's Steve Robillard, Francois-Louis Tremblay, Matthew Turcotte, and Charles Hamlin for Canada. Korea led by Hin-Soo Ahn. They'll start in lane number 3, and China will start on the outside in lane number 4. Canada has not failed to win a medal in the 5,000-meter relay this season. 2 bronze, 2 silver, 2 gold. Number 1 in the World Cup standings, just ahead of Korea.
The Canadian team has such depth here at the World Championships. They have to skate so many trials because there's a lot of depth in the country, and so they send the best team here. They have confidence from the previous races. They've skated well, and they know that as long as they can keep their exchanges clean, they are a contender for the podium in this final.
Well, as we've said, skaters go a lap and a half or 2 laps generally at the most before making an exchange. There are a lot of skaters, 16 in a constricted area, but the relays are highly organized, and now the Koreans have taken the lead ahead of Canada.
It's a long race, 45 laps, and yet it is fast right from the beginning. The Koreans had some nice exchanges, have built up a bit of a gap over the rest of the skaters in the field.
And so the Koreans continue to lead, but Canada setting a pretty good pace here. Tremblay already has 2 medals in these World Championships. Oh, and on that exchange, one of the American skaters goes down. 40 laps to go, and there's a fall by the Americans. Doesn't necessarily put you out of the relay. If the next skater can tag up with you, then you can continue, and the Americans are continuing, but with an enormous gap to contend with now.
A very smart move by the Koreans and the Canadians. They heard somebody fall, and so they just increased the pace. They wanted to increase the gap over the rest of the skaters.
Well, the Chinese in third right now. The Americans well back, the result of that fall. But look at how close it is between the Koreans and the Canadians for the lead. They're dueling now, and they make an exchange with 35 laps to go. Canada with a slight lead. That's Francois-Louis Tremblay in the lead for Canada. And the Koreans follow. We'll be back with the conclusion of the men's 5,000-meter relay in a moment. For the World Short Track Speed Skating Championships, 10 laps remaining in the men's 5,000-meter relay. Canada and Korea still in a real battle for the lead. The Canadians now with a slight lead. The Chinese just in the process of being lapped. Canada holding on to a slight lead over Korea.
Robillard skating well, a nice exchange with Matthew Turcotte. The Korean makes the inside move, but Turcotte not letting him get away. Down to 7 laps. Every exchange has to be perfect now.
And there's another exchange. Korea hanging on to the lead. 6 laps to go. 5:10 for Canada is Charles Hamlin, and 5:57 for Korea is Lee. 5 laps remaining. High drama here in the men's 5,000-meter relay. Can Canada make a move and get the lead from Korea? Still time to do it. 4 laps remaining. Korea still in front. Canada right behind. 5:11 for Canada is Tremblay. Now the gun is gone. Only 1 more exchange left. And I believe it'll be Matthew Turcotte skating the final few laps for Canada, and Hin-Soo Ahn for Korea. Yes, those are the 2 to finish it off. 2 laps remaining. An inside move now by Hin-Soo Ahn, but oh, Matthew Turcotte gets him on the inside. The final lap now. Can Hin-Soo Ahn find a way to get past Turcotte? The last turn, Hin-Soo Ahn had the lead, but Turcotte got him on the inside. Matthew Turcotte just overtook Hin-Soo Ahn in the final 1 or 2 meters. perhaps by half a skate blade, and Canada has won the men's 5,000-meter relay. Can it get any closer?
Well, that is short track at its best. Back and forth between the Koreans and the Canadians. They kept looking for an open door, seeing an inside pass, and then just going back and forth all the way to the finish line. The Canadians, the last time they won the World Championship gold was 1998. They do it again in 2005, and it was a relay full of excitement. Good exchanges by the Canadians. The Americans had struggled early on. The Chinese getting a little bit of problems from the American skater, but the Koreans and the Canadians having a great battle between the two teams. The ice was getting a little bit chewed up. 45 laps, 16 men on the ice. The corners get a lot of ruts. It's so important. It's a team event. The Americans had fallen. They did a great tag. They were able to come back, but Matthew Turcotte, what a battle he had all the way to the finish, and they get the world record by 3 seconds.
And that's a point worth mentioning in the excitement of the finish here. We did not point out that 6:39.99, the official time for Canada, is a new world record. They've broken the world record held by the Koreans by almost 3 seconds. Look at how close that finish was. And there is confirmation of the order. Canada with the gold medal. Korea wins the silver, and the U.S. well back, but gets the bronze. And in fact, Canada sweeps the relays in Beijing, both the men and women winning. First time in a long time that's happened, Katrina. The men, I think, are expected to contend for gold every time out, but they broke the world record by 3 seconds. Would you have thought they could beat it by that much?
Well, I don't know if anybody would have expected a record to be beaten by that much at the end of a season, but they had confidence from the weekend, and they skated really well together. The relay is all about working as a team, and they did that, and it paid off with a gold medal and a world record.
We said at the outset of the program the Korean skaters were the ones to beat, and that is surely the way it turned out. It was Korea, Korea, and then some more Korea. Do you take for granted, as a lot of people probably are right now, that the Korean skaters will take most of the short track medals in Turin?
Well, they will be the ones to watch, but for the Canadians to watch the Koreans, a lot of short track is about strategy. So now they can sit down, see how the Koreans race, see how they work together, and analyze that. But again, the Koreans will be the ones to beat going into the Olympics.
The Canadian women struggled at these World Championships with injuries. Do you have any sorts of concerns about them heading into Turin?
Well, injuries are always a concern, but the thing is, it's been a long season. It's a pre-Olympic year. They had a lot of heavy training. Now is the time for them to rest. They have a bit of time to heal those injuries and then to start up training again. But the Olympics are less than a year away, so there isn't a lot of time.
The men, on the other hand, Hamlin, Turcotte, Tremblay in particular, look ready to contend. Did their performances exceed or meet your expectations in Beijing?
Well, I think everybody was expecting them to do well, but again, it's been a long season. Were they in top form? Obviously, they were. They were on the podium. They had worked well together, and I think just their confidence, they fed off each other. And to be on the podium, to finish with a world record and a gold medal, I think the whole men's team is finishing with a lot of confidence, and that's a really important thing going into the Olympic year.
And the podium for the men's relay has Canada in the gold medal position. A fine performance all around here by the Canadian men. Add to this gold medal Tremblay's silver in the 1500 and his gold in the 500, and Hamlin's silver in the 500. For Katrina Lemaidon, I'm Scott Oak. Thanks for watching. So long.
Thank you, Scott.